Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 260. So, I described this episode as nice. I thought it was, actually surprisingly well written, even though it feels relatively inconsequential. There was your element of sort of Romeo and Juliet going on here without leaning into it fully. There's some cleverness because they did involve Kakashi in this episode, and that obviously was a highlight because we don't get to see him too often. So having Boruto mainly interact with Kakashi, have a few nice references to the stuff that he usually gets involved in, and then I felt like a pretty clever and kind of somewhat thought-provoking, ending to the episode with the idea that it's all about, okay, this kind of interesting dynamic, the old town in the Leaf Village and then the new town. And obviously it's the more traditional one that we know of from the main series, and then the new Boruto town with the skyscrapers and so on. And these two older men used to be best friends, run the fireworks festival that would happen, but they live in the different parts of town now. And so there's a feud because the old town doesn't want the new town to have a fireworks festival. The new town feels they should be able to have a fireworks festival, and so this creates this rift between the family of the old town, family of the new town, and of course we have this romance dynamic where the granddaughter and the grandson on one side are in a relationship and they want to get married, but they feel they can't go ahead with the marriage until their grandfathers have made up with each other. So nice enough setup. Boruto gets involved. Kakashi is eventually forced to get involved because it's revealed that he mentions and sort of cites Makeout Tactics Volume 5, that this plot is somewhat similar to that, but he notes that only the first edition release of the book has the proper ending. And it turns out that the granddaughter actually has that book, and so this is the sort of way to get Kakashi to be involved and actually put some effort in. When it really comes down to it, they have a few ways of trying to do it, but it doesn't work. They just get angrier and angrier at each other, and it leads up to the idea of Kakashi feels that the only way to make this happen is that they each do a fireworks display at the same time during the festival. And whichever one is deemed better wins, and they will become the town that does the fireworks festival going forward. And it goes off, and we see that the fireworks is pretty nice. Everyone's, liking it, but is liking it in the sense that they're insulting the other town's fireworks and loving their own ones. But then the sort of twist comes in where you get the idea that basically Kakashi has switched the fireworks. So the new town is setting off the old town's fireworks and vice versa. So there's this interesting point at the end of the episode where all the people realize what has happened here and realize that they have not been reviewing this properly. They have only been doing a thing where I don't like those fireworks because the people who set them off are from the other town. That they were not judging them correctly, and in the end they are forced to realize both sets of fireworks were very good. Because I think part of this was meant to highlight that ultimately both sets of fireworks were actually very, very similar. That no one could particularly tell them apart until right at the end, because they're so good, that these two work really well together organizing the fireworks display. So that was a nice kind of understanding at the end, that this idea of these in a way pointless feuds oftentimes over location and territory don't really mean anything in the end, and a little opportunity to show that very clearly to everyone involved is a big thing. Now, what ultimately kind of resolves the issue is that the grandson and granddaughter eventually make it clear that we're in a relationship and your feud is getting in the way of us getting married. And that's when they kind of realize that in combination with what Kakashi did, that their feud has been taken too far, and it's just, okay, resolved, we have the wedding, it's great. Kakashi is I'll read the book. I haven't read it yet because I want to take my time with it, but I think I already know what the ending is going to be. It's going to be the happy ending where they do get married and live happily ever after. So, solid episode, like I said. I don't think there's too much to talk about other than, Boruto wanting to help people, which is definitely it within his character. I thought Kakashi was characterized quite well as just wanting to kind of do his own thing, but then sort of being forced to do it, but then actually putting in a surprising amount of effort, showing a good level of sort of wisdom to sort of realize that, okay, I can engineer this situation. We saw a little bit of the disguise stuff here, of like he's the guy who walks by as they're each on their way to the festival. So that was kind of fun to see his, disguise with no mask again. But is it going to be like one of the more standout episodes? Probably not, but it's one of those ones where there's not too much to complain about beyond just the fact that it wasn't like a blow away amazing episode. It was just like, for a one-off episode about something we'd never really heard about before, it did what it needed to do. It was animated pretty nicely without going over the top, and it was fine. I am, though, excited for what looks like a big arc coming up. Maybe not big, but at least a couple of episodes. Himawari starting at the academy, going to school here. So this was set up before in previous arcs, so this is cool. It looks like they're going to reintroduce sort of like Himawari's teammates here. But also the slight twist of it seems like Kawaki is also going to be in the same class as Himawari. So he's already gone on missions, but I suppose the idea here is that you probably need to know the technical details of being a shinobi as well, so they're sending him into the academy as well. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see, like, how much solo focus they give Himawari, and then how much, like, they focus on, like, is Kawaki going to be doing his own thing here, or is he going to be looking out for Himawari, and is their dynamic going to be addressed, or will it be two separate style arcs going forward? I'm pretty excited for this. While we're not quite ready to get into manga content again, this is actually, I think, a good way to do things. I'm actually quite excited for what's going to happen in this arc. So, looking forward to it, definitely. Just to see, like, Himawari focus, I think is always a good thing. Because I want to see where they go, like, especially if we do get like a time skip, like what they're planning to do with a lot of these other characters. Of course, I think that's more about the manga, because the anime, because the manga is very focused on just a set few characters, and it would be surprising in a way to see some of the not absolute main characters get some focus. But the anime, when it gets around to covering like the time skip stuff, could have some great stuff with a lot of characters. So this was a kind of key piece of that, showing Himawari in action a little bit more. But other than that, that has been the video. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this episode. But that's been it. Thanks for watching, and bye.